purpose. So either they're going to play for an assassin or they're going to play a very dive composition, and Cho will be something that they don't want to deal with.
You need to remember as well, Cho is Kiboy's signature pick here, so getting it off the board will actually create some space as well. CW has played the Cho as well. Remember, back in MPLI, that's what he picked up to win the MPLI against Blacklist International. So very, very good bans coming in from both of the teams. onic opting to go for a more meta, basically a more, meta-driven ban, whereas Aura Fire, they've actually gone for more respect here with the Lancelot and the Cho. onic, though, with the first pick, they will be taking that Selena over on their side, only so far with a 25% win rate. This is very interesting, because Selena has been the most banned hero in MPLID Season 9, but with only 25% win rate, what does that tell you?
Oh, I was about to say, perhaps Selena wasn't really... again, Aura Fire did not care about that Selena because they want that Fanny. Fanny is open, guys, and we have witnessed Kabuki on that Fanny last week, and my God.
What was the win cons? Don't let them get Fanny.
Yeah.
I mean, technically it was for Aura Fire, but still, you want to let Kabuki snowball, and you don't want to let Fanny go. They got both of them right now, because usually, well, technically the one time that they did pick Fanny, it is Kabuki swapping with Hai. This time around, I feel like they're going to go for the same thing. Fanny played by Kabuki, Hai move into the gold lane.
That would make sense. And right now with the Esmeralda pick, there's already a ban to the Povius and Matilda. So what kind of hero can the Esmeralda steal shields from? That will be interesting to look at. But with the Selena on Keyboy, it will be the Ruby and the Moskov.
Two hard counters for that Fanny here. We got a Moskov for CW and Boots playing, or perhaps it might go in towards Keyboy, but of course I feel like I prefer Keyboy on a Selena. Ruby on the hands of Boots. Again, two counters for that Fanny. We will see here how our Fire will deal with this, because it is going to be so hard here. Trying to find an engage, a right engage, when there's Ruby and as well as Moskov on your opponent's composition.
They have really good disengage with these two heroes, but I feel like if Aura Fire wants to keep on going, a marksman, you're up against a marksman, go up for the Yeep. Yeep is completely open here, especially because you already have that frontliner Esmeralda, you already have someone to distract and open up basically chances for you to create plays in the game with the Yeep. So Fanny as a distraction, Esmeralda as a frontliner, Yeep will have a very, very good time here in the Land of Dawn, because remember, Moskov, Ruby, yes, they can disrupt Yeep, but they need to have that space to be able to. And I don't think they're going to be able to get it.
Well, it depends, and Selena actually has the Abyssal Arrow as well, and from my personal experience, playing the Yeep against the Selena is one of the most irritating things I've ever experienced. And with that composition from Aura, I think if they can dive in and make sure that onic is always on the back foot and they can't go aggressively, that Yeep will be massive. Again. And right now with the Fanny available, that will be a big factor in making sure that onic won't be able to get the initiative in these fights.
Yeah, again, Aura Fire with the gambles here. Of course, on a Yeep, you really need to be careful of the Abyssal Arrow coming from that Selena. And we are now entering the second phases of bans here. Pekido and Papola and Koopa has been banned from both teams. So I feel like onic, their approach is to limit the gold lane here. The high zero pool, I feel like.
Yeah, this is one thing that we haven't actually touched on, but it's a great time right now to touch on this point. High. Last time we saw the Fanny, it was played by Kabuki. Hai swapping to the gold lane position on the Popo and Koopa. So technically right now we've only seen Hai play that Popo and Koopa in the gold lane. We don't really know whether he's comfortable on any other marksman, and onic might just, basically shut that down from the get-go. Ban away these marksman heroes into that gold lane, maybe force Hai to play something different, and force him to make mistakes.
Again, looking from the drafts here. Aura Fire decides to ban out that Lilia, limiting Sansa's hero pool. They do not want to deal with a fast-clearing hero as well. And for the last ban, it will be committed towards the gold lane here for Hai, limiting his option here. Perhaps he will pick up the Clint, but this season, the Clint isn't getting the positive result.
Well, if they especially if Aura wants to play for the team fights, Clint can still do a lot of damage, provided that he does get the chance to do it though. So now, it will be the Clint, and as you mentioned, not doing so hot in this tournament right now, but if they can actually get a great gameplay, it does seem like Onyx's composition, for the most part, isn't very long ranged. So with a Clint and with a Yeef, there's a lot of chance for them to just win the fight based off outranging their opponents.
Yeah, with the Clint here, it's actually going to be really good in lane as well. When you're going up against a Moskov, as long as you only go for these small trades, you're going to win every single time. But
Whoa.
onic, oh my God, is that going to be the Benedetta in the jungle?
Wow.
This can certainly be it, man. We've seen Surfeit Lance
Yeah.
play the Benedetta in the
He likes
jungle.
assassin.
Last time he picked this, it was a Savage in the MPL.
Yeah, he likes assassins, like Lancelot. So now, perhaps what he's trying to say here, I want to target that Eve and Clint. And there you go, Benedetta likes to penetrate to the backline. And another pick, another unconventional pick here in Diroth.
I'm kind of disappointed. If they picked a
Why?
purple jungler, it would have literally been a purple team.
That's true, the Benedetta.
Yeah, it could have been.
Almost,
But yeah,
almost.
Benedetta in the jungle, we haven't seen this for such a long time here, Arashi. What are your thoughts on it? It has been nerfed. The damage to
So Diroth mid lane.
junglers.
Oh yeah, Benedetta in general just haven't seen a lot, and I think
Wait
early
a
on we
minute.
did see that Nino actually picked it up, but that was not in the jungle position. But provided that the Benedetta does get kind of snowballing, that kind of get rolling, it does have a lot of impact. We've seen the mobility
Whoa.
and damage do a lot of impact in the early game. But with the Clint now, sorry, with the Kufra, not Clint, being picked by Aura Fire right now, I think that will put a wrench in the plans for the Benedetta to dive into that back line.
Honestly,
my.
if we're taking a look at the compositions here, Gani, I really don't like it from the side of onic. Yes, there are creative picks here. You've got the Selena, you've got the Moskov as well, but who's going to be locking down the Fanny?
Yeah,
They have no lockdown.
Yeah, except for that Fanny, except for that Selena, I feel like. And of course
You have
Ruby. But then again, it is so hard to catch Fanny,
No way.
especially when Kabuki is the pilot. So I feel like a creative, a peculiar draft coming from onic. But is it too peculiar? What about you folks? Do you like the draft? Which side are you on? onic or Aura Fire for game number 1? Because I feel like there are, the draft is crazy.
Yeah, I think that there is crowd control on the side of onic, but the thing is, I don't know if it's enough because
Yeah.
they're gonna need crowd control to engage fights that benefit them, but they're gonna also need extra bit of crowd control to make sure that the Fanny doesn't go out of control. So with the Ruby and the Selena being a targeted spell and Ruby being short range, I don't know if that's enough for this game.
So let's just jump here into the Land of Dawn as game number 1 for match number 1, week 2, day 1 will commence. As Gani, Mirko, and Arashi will accompany you. And let's take a look here. Ruby mid lane, Selena of course on Keyboy, and there you go, Diroth on Boots. Boots on Diroth. So we can see here Surfeit Lance already letting go from that Lethal Wanderer. So here, I feel like an interesting pattern, but we can see here Keyboy taking a lot of damage on towards Kabuki from Kabuki, but still surviving.
Yeah, honestly, if we're taking a look at the compositions, this is exactly what Aura Fire can do. Just pressure from the get-go. There's nothing onic can really do to respond except for going for the other side of the map. But even so, Surfeit Lance will have to take a little bit more damage here against Facehunger and Godiva, who joins in.
Oh, 3-man Surfeit Lance will not be able to escape. Oh my god, I might be wrong. Surfeit
way.
Lance here, okay. Sacrificing himself to the turret. First blood by Samsung Galaxy A Series for Aura Fire.
And that is a very aggressive play from Onic Esports. I mean, they do want to capitalize on the fact that the Benedetta has a lot of damage, and they want to try and catch Aura off guard, but that is exactly what Aura is very good at doing. And we were talking again about the composition, and for Onic Esports, their main frontline is going to be the Ruby, right, later on, but it's going to take some time for the Ruby to actually be able to stand in front of a Yve, a Clint, as well as a Fanny, and be able to withstand that kind of damage.
Let's take let's slow it down a little bit here and let's talk about the laning phase, all right? Esmeralda versus Diroth, that's it really depends. If Esmeralda goes for all-ins, it's definitely going to favor the Diroth, but if Esmeralda goes for trades, 100% it will be the Esmeralda winning in these fights.
Ooh.
But already Aura Fire trying to contest here into the turtle Gani.
Yeah, Sans here sandbagging the front. Oh, Evil Manipulation canceled by Boots. Boots will claim a kill. And Fanny will steal that turret right now. Surfeit Lance is in a bit of a pickle, but still escaping from that one. 1-for-1 turret for a member.
We were talking about how the matchup between Fluffy in his lane will be important, and right now he has already been taken down once, and that's going to have huge consequences in his own lane. And that will, if they can take advantage of that, that could be very beneficial.
Yeah, it is going to be very, very beneficial here. And remember this, all right? Firstly, we need to talk about Aura Fire's draft with the Fanny, they can just go for the initial snowball and take it, basically take the game before 15 minutes. And I think that's going to be the goal in mind here. It's also very a very different Aura that's playing here today compared to the one that faced EVOS Legends in the first week. We're not seeing that level of aggression as we did in the EVOS Legends match. It feels like they're all playing a little bit more passively as Kabuki jumps into the top side.
Ooh, take a look here. Kabuki already trying to find a member, but onic Esports, nice defense here. CW surviving, still farming, I feel like. That, CW, okay. Moskov is going to be huge in the late game, so I feel like our Fire needs to shut him down in the early, especially in the mid side. Now, looking at the compositions here, Rashi, what happened? What has happened?
Well, I think considering the fact that Aura Fire has so many tools to facilitate a dive, right? They have a Fanny, they have a Yves, as well as a Kupra. I'm surprised they haven't gone for those really aggressive lane plays. We talked again earlier in the win conditions about how Aura wants to play more for the lane and onic wants to play more for the objectives. But so far, the turtle has gone to Aura, and there's no real exchange from the side of onic.
Okay, little relation. I'm offended. Flicker connects on towards Facehugger. Facehugger forces the flicker away, and still surviving now. Sans is the one who clears top lane. They really are right now being controlled by Aura Fire. Aura Fire here with the control and early lead. Turtle will go up. What do you think will happen?
Yeah, the early game tempo will surely go to the hands of Aura Fire, but I feel like if onic Esports can actually withstand it, which they're doing really well here with the steal that Surfeit Lance just got over the purple buff against this Fanny. No purple buff on Fanny will mean that it's going to be huge actually. For the side of onic Esports, Fanny is going to have a very, very hard time now in the jungle.
Yeah, on the minimap, we can see that Abyssal Arrow connected on towards Facehugger, and just with the help of Sans there, picking up Hill on towards the mid laner of Aura Fire right now, though. Turtle's still idle, but onic Esports slowly but surely finding the control.
Yeah, I mean, without the backup from Godiva to actually protect Facehugger, that Yves is just so vulnerable against a Ruby as well as a Selena. So Aura needs to be a bit more careful. onic definitely has an advantage from like a pick from range, but now CW will be the main target.
They want top side here, Kabuki taking damage, but take a look at high, flanking your CW. What? Still surviving a 2v1 play, and as well as managed to clear the lane, but take a look at Godiva. Flicker, Tyrant's Rage connects on towards Keyboy. No follow-up just yet. No casualty top side.
Man, Aura Fire are proactive to these fights. They go in for the ganks, but it's going to just be CW outplaying them. And the thing is, look at the turtle. onic Esports, they're just playing with them. They're playing with their food. They're going up top, and they're like, hey, we got the turtle. No problem. CW can fend for himself.
Oh my god. The complex winning conditions coming from onic Esports, and where now it works for them. Take a look at the items, Rashi.
Fluffy with the Esmeralda already on Enchanted Talisman, so all ins will be swinging a bit more towards his side now. Kabuki already with the War Axe doing a lot of damage, and Facehugger going for the more defensive build, knowing that there is crowd control from the side of onic Esports and pick-up potential, going with the boots and going with Enchanted Talisman to make sure that he can provide a lot more crowd control for his team.
Oh, nice flicker there. Surfeit Lance coming in. Godiva has no flicker. He needs to be aware of that as high. Reinforcing Godiva to escape as both teams disengage from a team fight. And we can see both XP laners here heading to clear lanes, as I feel like the tempo has gone slowing down. Yeah, has come down.
This is what onic needs. This is what onic needs. They're still staying at a 1,000 gold lead, and this is one thing that's really, really interesting. We had a few questions about how Benedetta is in the jungle. He is one level ahead of Kabuki right now. Fanny, who's considered basically the best jungler in this meta right now, going up against Benedetta, a hero that isn't even picked up in her own lane, in the gold lane or XP lane. So this is an insane game by onic Esports. The way that they're able to play the map, the way that Surfeit Lance is able to farm with the Benedetta has been impeccable so far.
Yeah, right now Boots though is not going to survive. A 2v1 bot side. Will onic find compensation as they look for an engage, but Godiva here with the Tyrant's Revenge will not connect. But I feel like Aura will just take the turret bot side.
I think the mid game is exactly where Aura will actually take off and do a lot more damage. Their composition is way more suited to those mid game skirmishes, and I think once they reach that power spike, they'll play really aggressively. And what I think is important for them to do is make sure that they engage with the right tools, right? We've seen Kabuki being the main engage just jumping towards the members of onic esports. Whereas if they can engage with Godiva or maybe using Facehugger with the road manipulation, they can get a huge opportunity to actually win the fight.
Yeah, right now Surfeit Lance already initiating. Oh, the second time as Kabuki connects. Will be able to escape for now, but take a look at the following. Sarmon connects on towards 3. Surfeit Lance, will he be able to survive? The flicker will do it with the kill as Fluffy wants more Keyboy sidestepping here as Boots wants to clear the top side as there will be a pause perhaps from onic esports. But what a trade here, guys.
Yeah, there's a pause in the end, but that fight was actually really well played by the side of Aura Fire. Not only did they get the better setup, but they've also executed better on that retribution, securing that turtle. And man, how did Kabuki get out of that? 1 HP, literally getting out at the right time. But right now we are actually going to have a pause. We have a little bit more time to talk about what's going on, because it feels like it's been action-packed, even though it feels like it has also been slow. It's like
Yeah.
the pacing is just all over the place in this game.
I think both teams just have key moments where they want to actually pull the trigger, but they haven't been able to find huge amount of success. Because for onic esports, they do have a very limited amount of crowd control. Even though they have a Selena, the rest, there's not enough, I guess, follow-up for the Selena to go in that aggressively. And for Aura, we saw, as I mentioned earlier, sometimes they engage, but not using their main reliable crowd control, like on Godiva's Kufra, or perhaps using Facehugger's Eve. So I think that is why sometimes it seems like they're about to make something happen, but then they just pull away. So I think Aura is waiting for their mid-game power spike, and onic is wanting to make sure they play quite safe and scale into that late game where the members on the heroes on their side can actually do huge amounts of damage.
Let's talk about gameplay here, right? Because the first blood was for Benedetta, and he managed to bounce back, claiming 1 level ahead of Fanny. And to me, that is already amazing, strategy coming from from the onic side. It's just huge. And Aura Fire, they seem to find, they seem to struggle. I feel like, to find their rhythm. They do have a couple of comebacks on their own, but is it enough? Is it enough?
If we're taking a look at the composition, onic esports does have actually a lot going for them when it does go to the mid to late stage of the game. They have that Moskov that can carry them, but the thing is, with the superior range of Aura Fire, the way that they're able to zone away this Moskov from hitting the core members of Aura, I think it's going to be better. They have the Yves, they have, again, the Fanny and Esmeralda, that's just going to be a distraction, and they also have that late game damage and high. So I feel like even if it goes to the late game, it's going to be Aura winning it out.
Oh, Kabuki here, claiming up a kill, and of course it will be a turret forward side of Aura Fire top side. And 90 seconds to the first lord as Aura Fire looks to reclaim economy, looks to claim control on the map pressure as well. And onic esports, they're on the back foot.
Yeah, the 1,000 gold lead instantly just shifting from the side of onic towards Aura Fire now, and that's exactly what they were able, that's exactly what the game plan was meant to do in the early stage of the game. Kabuki, though, going for the invade.
Another engage coming from the side of Aura Fire. I feel like Surfeit Lance managed to claim this purple buff for now, but let's take a look at the items, Arash.
Boost now already with a Blood of Hephaestus Seize and a Dominance Eye, so being aggressive but still being able to tank a lot of damage in the front line. CW though, with a Scarlet Phantom Berserker Fury, the Berserker Fury combo, it just does a lot of damage, provided that he does not get zoned out by a road manipulation or by Kabuki just jumping at him. So I think once these fights get into that long periods of duration, Moskov will have a lot more advantage compared to the Clint in these team fights. Although High right now has a Malefic Roar, so any kind of defensive item on the side of onic esports has been quote-unquote countered.
Yeah, and at this point, Aura Fire, they're just playing the lanes really well, I feel like, In the top side, they let it just go. They just let it go. They don't really need anyone to go there and clear. They just wait for the right opportunity to look for pushes, like in the bottom side, when onic was forced to put 3 members into the mid lane to basically hold off the other members. They go to the bottom side and look for the siege there. Aura, completely different, but they're going in very aggressively onto Godiva.
I'm a fan of connection onto Godiva, but CW will be the casualty. 1 for... Oh no! It will be a 4-man wipes here for side of onic esports. Aura Fire looking very nasty here in the 10th minute, claiming 4 members for side of onic. And we'll take a look right now. Aura Fire looks to claim the mid side and looks to claim their first lord.
A huge mistake for the side of onic. What was that? They used all their resources onto 1 member, and that's not the core member. Like I said, it was Godiva.
Yeah, quite a questionable player, honestly. We talk again about the possibility for Facehugger to be able to do a lot of damage and zone out the key members. And we've also mentioned that there's a very limited amount of of crowd control on onic esports' team composition. So I think they really needed to save those crowd controls for a very specific moment, and that was not it. Godiva is not the main target, as you say, Mirko. And in that fight, with all the skills already being used, Facehugger was just able to clean up the whole map with that road manipulation.
Yeah, let's talk about the lack of range from the composition from onic esports, and of course, the Aura of Fire has Yves. And my oh my, the real world manipulation is just such a nuisance when onic esports wants to engage. And perhaps, guys, if you like the Sanrio characters, check the Sanrio XMLBB right now. We can see here onic esports defending for their life.
Again, look at that, Goni.
Okay, right now Sans will not be able to survive as he was just taking too much from 4 members for side of Aura, and Aura Fire looks to siege more and more. We can see here they want the bottom inhibitor.
It's the same story, but it gets worse every single time, Goni. They not only commit too much onto one member, but it's lured up. Yes, they get a pick onto Kabuki, but at what cost? That's the base turret gone. And once again, they made a huge blunder with the lured up. It's Aura Fire punishing them accordingly.
Yeah, again, onic esports here, defending. A good pickoff, I could say. Nice setup from Keyboy. The Abyssal Arrow connects on towards Kabuki, but it will be a reset as Aura Fire already claiming 6. Oh, take a look at top side. Electo final blow will just be used to escape. He survives for that one, but onic esports will fall. Aura Fire will collapse another turret top side.
Yeah, and the thing is, right now, 6.2 thousand gold lead, and like I said, even if we go to the mid to late stages of the game, Clint and Yves and Esmeralda, I feel like they outscale Onyx composition. That's why I said it from the get-go. I don't think Onyx has the draft to win the game. Yes, they'll have their moments. They'll have their once, their real glimpses, I should say, in the game. But overall, if we're talking about team fights, if we're talking about wave control, even in the laning phase, it's going to be Aura Fire having the better win conditions and having the better game plan.
I think if Keyboy on that Selena, we've seen him perform immensely on that Selena, and it's come to be feared in the MPL. But right now, if Keyboy doesn't land a great Abyssal Arrow, it's very difficult for onic esports to get any kind of meaningful victory in the fight, because if he doesn't engage with that, and if they force the fight using a Ruby or using the Dyrod, it's just gonna be a bit too difficult. And then they have to make sure that there's crowd control left over to stop Facehugger. So unless they go and make a huge play onto Facehugger or high, they need to actually wait and play it very, very patiently. But with the Lord coming up and with Aura Fire just set up to actually take over the game and end the game with this next Lord, I'm not sure if that's a risk they can actually afford to, to let go.
There are huge holes in Onyx composition right now. Number one, I would say, is, oh my god, that Abyssal Arrow actually almost caught Kabuki as he was flying, but they really don't have a reliable source of engage. Abyssal Arrow connects though.
Oh, Godiva connects onto Surfeit lands. The main target, but take a look at front line as Boots and as well as Sans will not be able to survive. Boots is down and Sans is looking to escape, but take a look at CW claiming life onto CW, onto Kabuki as in the front line. CW is just taking too much. Okay, he claims 2 members, but at what cost? 3 members from the side of Onic is down.
Oh man, once again, I mean, technically now it's a better trade, but it's still a 3 for 2. It's still better for the side of Aura Fire. It feels like every single time they force a fight, they use all their resources onto the wrong targets. Again, Godiva. He was the one who went for the initiation. They got the Abyssal Arrow onto Kabuki, but there's no one to follow it up. It feels like this team isn't moving as a unit. It's not the same Onic as we know and love in Season 8.
Yeah.
In that fight as well, we did see that again and again, the main issue that Onic is having right now is that damage output and utility that Facehugger is able to provide. Yet again in this fight, the rule of manipulation was just popped up and there's nothing there to just counter that. Eventually, Keyboy did land the Abyssal Arrow onto Facehugger, but that's after the ultimate has already been used. So they need to try and plan better to these fights, because if they just go in without a solid game plan on how to win this fight, it's going to be quite difficult, because as Mirko mentioned, composition-wise, it does seem like it's already slanted towards the side of Aura Esports.
Yeah, it's really hard, I feel like, to engage with Onyx composition.
They can't engage.
They can't engage at this point. Of course, you can rely on Sans, but again, it's way too hard. It's a gamble. They have a Yves, who will always be on the back lines, and I feel like it's just so hard, Mirko.
Yeah, if we're taking a look at their composition as well, there's only one person who actually does magic damage. The others all do physical damage. So even if we're talking about itemization, easier for Aura Fire. Just go for a more
Physical.
go for more physical defense,
Yeah.
right? And if we're talking about the engage, non-existent pick potential, yes, I can give it to Onic Esports here when it comes to pick, but who are you gonna pick? Aura Fire playing with this 5-man composition. Do you not see their team fight comp right here? It was literally built to go for team fights. You want to split them up, but you don't win in the in the laning phase. You're not going to be able to do that, you know?
Yeah, at this point, going for a pick-off potential composition is just so hard, especially when you're behind Arashi. And what more can you say about this match?
Well, here is the real-time win probability presented by the Samsung Galaxy A series, and the audience agree with Mirko and Goni. It is gonna swing towards the side of Aura Fire right now. Onic needs to make something happen. They can't wait for an opportunity because so far they don't. There seems to be no really easy one. Right now, Kabuki has a Anticuras build as well. So already building defensively, because we've seen that a chance that Onic can take is the fact that, as we always mention, Aura Fire gets a bit too overeager. They dive in kind of deep sometimes, and perhaps if Onic Esports can fight back and isolate the fights into small fights where they have the advantage, they can get a chance.
Okay, Boots here is going for the desperate play. 1v5 will be taken down immediately as Kabuki will claim that lord. Kabuki looks for more engage. Keyboy, Serpent Lance running for their lives. Keyboy has no flicker in hand, and Keyboy still will be taken down as Tito is next, as Aura Fire is just going crazy in this game.
They got the distraction going on with the Fanny in front. They have the Esmeralda as well. Boots tried to make a desperate play to open up the map for his team, but it was too late again. Miscoordination, miscommunication all across the board. It feels like Aura Fire just outclassing them in every single department at this point. Look at how they're playing team fights. Look at how they're moving on the map. Look at how they're playing the map with the map pressure, with the turrets that they have, controlling the waves by manipulating them. And now they're forcing another one, Goni.
Okay, Aura Fire here defending, offending, and again Kabuki going crazy at the base. Look at the base as Aura Fire will claim game number 1. Onic Esports take the L.
The Dragons picking up the first.